Hello and welcome to Dees Talk. My guest today is Amit Malhotra. He's an old friend and co-founder of Aflux Designs, one of London's leading luxury design and build firms. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you very much.
Amit's journey has been anything but ordinary. He studied economics at LSE and qualified as a chartered accountant with Ernst& Young and even spending time teaching in Japan before making the leap into interiors and property. How did you pivot from
Yeah,
all
it's not even just one pivot, it's a couple of pivots. It's
yeah,
like a pinball machine, just like
multi-pivot?
yeah, it's kind of hard. I don't think I'll be invited to many careers events at school, I'll tell you that.
Right.
But so like long story short, because this could be a really long story and cover the entire podcast.
Right.
Um, Went to LSE with
Yeah.
my good man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I loved the connections I made, but I'll be honest with you, I did not feel quite ready to enter the rat race. And
Mm.
that should have been like the first signal. Um, and I should probably listen to that at the beginning. So what I decided to do, I decided to apply for the JET program in Japan. And I don't know if you remember Rishi, he was at LSE as well.
Right.
And we both decided, let's go, have a little gap here, move out there for a bit. And I think after going to Japan, that made me a completely different person, more independent,
Mm.
more in tune with what I want, more in tune with just understanding, how to just live life the way I want. Unfortunately, I didn't carry that through because then I came back and did the Indian thing and went back to Ernst& and Young because primarily my parents were like, "You've done an LSE degree, make use of it."
Sure.
So I thought, okay, let's go into Ernst& and Young, and Ernst& and Young had a division called the Entrepreneurial Wealth Services, which sounds really cool. But and I thought, okay, great, I can learn how to make a business because my main aim was how can I run a business? I didn't know what business I
So you
wanted to
always wanted to
run.
be an entrepreneur,
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
but I didn't know what. That's the thing. So it's like, why don't I learn from other people and learn from smaller companies? And that's why this specific department was a smaller department auditing kind of entrepreneurs, and the thing was that there were a couple of companies like that, but in general, unfortunately, it wasn't the name wasn't what it described on the tin. Like it was completely different.
Right. So
Um,
there wasn't much
wasn't much
entrepreneurial.
entrepreneurial. It's more like I would say there were more subdivision companies like Mitsubishi UK. So I wasn't
Okay.
really getting the kind of individual. Okay,
Young,
how can I learn
exciting
from? Yeah, how can
startup
I?
tech founders kind
Yeah.
of.
So, but I was too deep in the ACA qualification, so I did that, got my head down, got the qualification. Um, and then after that, I thought to myself, okay, what's the next? What's the next kind of career choice that would help me again learn about business, speak to entrepreneurs, and also travel? So I got into the diplomatic fast track service, which is pretty difficult to get into. I think why they put around thousands and thousands of applicants. It's a graduate job and they only employ around 40 graduate, 30, 40 places. Um, Went into that again, open eyes. Let's see if we can make this work. Unfortunately, realized politics is not my thing, and there was less of the business side of the agenda. I
So that was more to represent the UK
on
abroad.
in a business sense, yeah. So
Right.
to my idea was to try and make contacts with the right people.
Is that to
So
be a
in the future,
diplomat so then your bags don't get checked at the airports
that
and
as
all that stuff?
well, fast track on
And
the
do you get like a diplomatic yeah.
yeah,
What are the
customs.
sort of perks of being a diplomat?
I mean,
You get like a D in your don't you get a D in your number plate or something?
you get to go through customs like super quickly. None of that queuing. You have obviously the educational part of it is free when you go abroad. I think for me, the biggest plus of being a diplomat, or what I thought was the connections you would make.
Yeah.
And I have actually a cousin who is a diplomat in America, and he's done exactly that. He's followed it through, and he's come back, and he's got these connections, and now he's working in consultancy. Um, the unfortunate part, and now this is sorry, that has become now a long story. Uh, what happened is that obviously coming from Ernst& and Young and become to the Foreign Office is that the salary is was a little less to say. Like government jobs aren't paid the same way as corporate jobs. So I made up a little portion of that salary by living in my brother's apartment rent free. And in lieu of of payment of rent, was actually project managing his flat refurbishment. My hours, he was a banker, my hours were less than his. So after coming home from work, I will speak to the builder, I would go to the shops on the weekend, uh, you know, do the costings, manage the building, do the designs. At that point, it was just me sketching something on a piece of paper, whatever's in my head. And I realized I really enjoyed it. Really, really
Right.
enjoyed it. My
So you learned by doing.
Learned by
You just
doing.
jumped in the deep end.
Yeah, yeah, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I thought I at the beginning. And then my father bought a flat in Wapping, nothing big, again a two-bedroom flat, as an investment. And this was during the time where the property market was booming, like 2012, 2011. Again, I did that at the same time, and he made a sizable profit from selling it. And I, having posted a few things on Facebook of those couple of the flat, I got a call from a friend of mine saying, "Look, I didn't know that you do this.
Oh,
My boss has just bought a house in Highgate. Uh, do you think you could go there and cost it?" I didn't tell her that this was a side.
side hustle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then so of course I said yes. I went there. I brought a builder that had helped on my father's project, and I found a designer at the time, and we just completely, that was a 6-month project that I enjoyed so much. I then quit the foreign
And you just
office,
winged it. Just
winged it.
just like, yes, fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
And then you
a
made it.
big, big fake it till you make it. I feel like I'm still doing that now, but you
Right.
fake it till you make it.
Well,
And
what, like you still have a bit of imposter
yeah, you
syndrome?
always do, because if you come
Even
from a
though now
completely different background,
yeah,
you always feel like there's and
you weren't like trained in
no,
interior design or
no,
like
project
construction project
management,
management or
nothing like
anything
that,
like that.
nothing
Yeah.
like that. Obviously, it's less than it is now, but obviously, sometimes it's like you pinch yourself moment when you're doing the projects you're doing now, which are 2 million townhouses in Primrose Hill or big construction houses in Chiswick. You think, okay, it started with a two-bed flat in Wapping
Yeah.
to this. So that's well, now it's a long story. So
Yeah.
that's how it
Oh,
started.
right. Interesting. And Aflux, you position yourself as luxury the way you want it. How do you balance client individuality with maintaining a strong design identity for your company?
So I think our USP, and that's my corporate lingo coming back in, is we we don't I don't believe that we have a strong, like a really, really strong design style. We're quite fluid in our design, and I believe that's what makes us quite appealing to a lot of our clients. So when I say luxury the way you want it, the way I like to say it, when we start a project and we agree to work with a client, our aim is not to push our design onto them, because every client, if you'll know what it's like. You buy a house, the client has spent 6 months looking for a property, or even longer. They've seen something, like they already have that vision of, oh, where their kids are going to play, where they're going to entertain their friends. So they already had what style they like. They've been to several places and they say, oh, we really like this hotel style,
So,
we want
like,
to
do you
bring.
find the average client does actually come to the table with quite a lot of
Yeah,
ideas and what they
they
want
do.
and what
And
they feel?
it's
Yeah,
up to us to take
to
all your
translate that.
ideas
Yeah.
and then translate that into kind of a cohesive, understandable, fluid design. So we don't we need to make it functional.
Mm.
So if things don't work, we say it. But I think our luxury kind of ethos is that we will take what our clients kind of in their head and extrapolate it, put it together in a kind of a cohesive, well planned, well designed concept,
Yeah.
and then start it from there. And the luxury element, I think luxury is relative. Like someone with a budget of 100K versus someone with a budget of 2 million,
Yeah.
um, they all have a different idea of what luxury means. For me, luxury is something that is tailor made to our clients' likes,
Yeah.
and using high quality materials, having that eye for detail, and finding ways that make them feel I've turned a house into a home.
So, right. So
Mm.
you've designed it for their needs. I mean, I guess that's always a challenge is if people are investing quite a lot into their
Mm.
homes to think, is this value that I'm investing going to be appreciated by the market in general when it
Mm.
comes to selling it? Or do you find
Yeah.
people often the 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 money they've invested into their
Yeah.
house, other people might be like, oh no, I'll buy the house and rip it out and do it again,
Yeah.
do it my way.
So there's a couple of things you've mentioned. Firstly, is like, can I add value
Yeah.
and to the property, and will that value be appreciated later on if I sell it?
Yeah.
Um, Now, I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe pre-Brexit, pre-COVID, you could have that mindset, and that mindset usually tends to work very well. Okay, you have a house, you do the extension.
Yeah.
You've already added value per square meter because you know the cost per square meter of doing the extension versus the cost when you sell it is less. So you've
Yeah.
made it's a very simple mathematical equation. Nowadays, it's obviously a lot more difficult to create that, to have that, to
That
come into a
margin.
house and have that mindset
Yeah.
because you can't just flip a property. So a lot of our clients anyway are homeowners with potentially growing, larger families looking to settle down. So we do add value, but I think you have to add value and also tailor it to how you want to live in there. You can't think about, okay, what's the market going to look at? Because then you're not really creating a house for yourself.
Yeah.
You're creating a house for
For
that
everyone.
real estate person. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're a developer, that's different. But if it's for
Yeah.
you, um, you have to also think about, okay, how am I going to live in this house? Like
Yeah.
we've just done a bar flat. We know we like open plan.
Yeah.
So we've done open plan kitchen, living room, dining area.
Just to feel the bigger
Yeah, feel bigger
space.
space, let more
Nice.
light in.
Yeah.
But someone might come in there and say, actually, you know what? I prefer a door. I don't want to hear in my bedroom, the noise of the TV. So everyone has a different way of living it. So you have to have that bit of flexibility. Um, and I think that's important, when you design your house.
Yeah. So you are doing your own house up now?
Just
Or
finished.
oh, you just finished,
Yeah,
right.
just finished.
And how did that feel compared to
Yeah,
doing other people's?
I would probably say is the most stressful project I've worked on
Really?
because my client was my wife. So
Alright.
there you go, a Colombian wife. So
Okay.
it was no, it was fun. It was stressful because I've done so many houses with my co-founder Sarah. I've done so many houses. We've done so many houses for clients, and it's it's you're designing it obviously for them, so you know what they want, you understand what they want, and then you put it together. Then for us, for my wife and I, it's almost like I'm sitting back and actually saying, okay, what is the style that we like? What do I like? I'm the client, and I'm also employing myself to do the work. So
Yeah.
it's like, so now we finished it. It's really interesting seeing the journey from when we started. Like I created a Pinterest board.
Sure.
I set up the project management. I work with, I created the budget with my
You're
wife.
both sides of the
Everything.
table,
So both
like,
being on both sides of the
beefing with
table,
yourself,
yeah,
like,
having this
"Hey."
hat on and then having that hat on, so it was really interesting, and we're really happy with the outcome. For your curiosity, the style I would say is kind of a Japandi style, you
Okay.
know.
So the Japan years have
There
had
we
a
go. Little
long-term effect on you then.
Definitely, like minimalism, but warm. And I think
Right.
that's where the Japandi stuff.
Elegant. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've got a nice lime wash paint on the walls. We've used natural materials where we can, like nice kind of stone effect worktops, wood where we
Do you have a
can,
table on the
plants.
floor where everyone sits on the floor?
Low. Our
Nice.
sofa's quite low,
Right.
so everything is quite. But it's more. I'm not a fan of clutter, so it really
Yeah.
has. It's a calming
Clean. Yeah,
influence.
yeah.
Like, I think when you enter
I
your
think
house,
that makes a big difference, isn't it? The sort of if your space is cluttered,
yeah,
it can be
yeah,
the same, like a reflection of your brain or
yeah.
an effect on your brain in that way.
That's the thing. That's the one. Sometimes I'm not going to mention which any clients' names, but that's the one thing I sometimes feel a little bit like we've designed this beautiful house, everything's ready, everything's looking great, and then you come in 1 month later, and it's like there's everything. I mean, you've got kids, so I guess I shouldn't complain. Like there's kids' toys
Like,
there, and
how
there's
dare
ovens
you
there.
clutter my
I'm like,
design?
come on, like, come on, you know.
How dare
But
you?
but as long as they feel, I think, you know, it's important. You have your 9 to 5, your 9 to 9, or whatever. You come back home. You, the home is like your one spot where you should feel calm.
Yeah,
And okay, if you're happy with clutter, then that's up to you.
yeah.
But I think, like, as long as you feel like I've come home, and I think home is such a powerful word. That's why I always say to people, when I pitch, I always say we turn your house into a home, because
Right.
they're the same thing. It's the same material, same buildings, but like the definition is so different. Like, you.
I mean, I've done my place up
Mm,
here. Took a 2.5 year build, and now that we're in it, it feels like just totally different.
mm,
When you look around at everything, all the stress was kind of worth it in the end. You're
yeah,
like, yes, I like that. I chose that.
yeah,
There's no thing which happens when you kind of live in rentals for a long time, which I did. I probably stayed in at least 20 different rental properties,
yeah,
maybe more, like, 'cause including shorter term rentals, probably even like 30 plus. And each place, you're always like, there's always something they've done, and you're like, why did they do that? Why didn't they put a niche in the
yeah.
shower? This is my biggest pet peeve, by the way. And it applies to like villas and hotels and so many things. It's like everyone knows when you
Yeah,
go in the shower,
yeah,
you're gonna have your products.
yeah.
Why don't they put a little
I
shelf for
know.
you to put them there?
I know that
That's my
and
biggest pet peeve.
niches and dimming. Like, I don't understand why you have a house. You put so much money in, but you can only turn the lights on and
On or
off.
off.
Like,
Yeah.
why can't you dim them? And then
Yeah.
and then also, obviously, in the studio is different. You have to have, like, cool white, and I get that. But like, why have a house with harsh lighting?
Yeah.
Like, lighting is so important. And
Makes all the
yeah,
difference.
and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you go into, I
And
know,
the
if you go to
mood and
the
yeah.
mood,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And even your brain, right? Like
oh,
like if you listen, because different your brain responds to
hmm,
different lights and puts
hmm,
you in different kind of like
yeah,
brainwave frequencies, right? So
yeah,
when it's like a sunrise, then that's like at one. Then when it's like midday, it's like full beta,
yeah.
like full bright light activity mode. And then there's like the sunset lighting is more calming, and you go into more, so you can kind of reflect that in the house
Well,
lighting as well.
look, everything,
With the lumens, is that
the lumens, yeah,
yeah, the
exactly. But
lumens.
everything is doable if you've got a budget. Like, we're
Yeah.
doing a project in Primrose Hill, and in the office we've got, and in the office and in other key areas in the basement where you don't have much natural light, we have the ability to mimic natural light in
Right.
certain times. So then you get that, as you said, the is it a SAD or something, like you have
Yeah, SAD, what seasonal affective
yeah, so it
disorder.
minimizes all of that, because
Yeah,
in
yeah.
London, obviously, or in England, lighting is
Yeah,
a
it's brutal.
precious source at winter. Um, and even another thing that we're doing, and I'm probably segueing off to other areas, but like in the bathroom, we've
Yeah.
put a red light, like a vertical red light therapy kind of light
Right.
in the shower,
Like,
so you can have a
okay.
shower and have that on at the
So
same
while
time.
you're in the shower,
Yeah,
that's good.
and it's not actually that expensive. It's probably I mean, if
Is that the red light that heats like a sauna, or is just the red light therapy that just by having that light on
yeah,
you,
it's red
it
light therapy. It's red light
okay.
therapy because it's in the shower itself as well. So I think
Okay. So every time you're in there, it's like
yeah, so you can have that
red
because
glow.
like, I mean, I have that for my hair, so
Oh yeah.
I have that red light cap every evening. But it's more
And
like the
and does it
more
work?
technology. Well, I don't know. You tell me. Just don't video from the
don't
top, man.
don't go from the top.
But like, the more and more we go into like, the wellness design, because now
Yes.
that now, like,
Huge.
it's huge. So it will, the cost of it is still, I think, quite high for the average consumer to say, to fit a red light therapy in your shower, and also have the ability to change your lights is not super affordable right now. But the more
Yeah.
and more we go into it, and the
Yeah.
more
It can
technology
almost just be like
advances.
a bolt on, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've always thought of like what is the kind of bathroom of the future.
Hmm.
And I do feel like a lot of it should be taking data on yourself in
Hmm.
terms of to feed into your wellness program.
Mm,
So I'd imagine something like what you're saying. You're having your shower, you're also getting your red light.
mm,
You go, you use the toilet, maybe like get some high
mm.
tech Japanese toilet that actually somehow samples your poo
Yeah.
or samples your pee, because that is
Yeah.
data, and tracking data about your
Mm.
body, what's going on inside of it, that can be valuable feedback to like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, to sort of anticipate problems that you might have with your health. Maybe every time you walk in the bathroom, the floor has some kind of weighing machine,
Yeah.
then all that data is just like, as you just step in, automatically tracked and saved, added to your cloud data, fed into AI, then gets then you get fed back some like advice. Oh,
Yeah.
eat some carrots or something,
Yeah.
or whatever it
Yeah,
is,
I know.
like whatever you're
You should have
needing,
worked out today. But it is becoming more, we are becoming more and more there. I think, like,
Yeah,
look, I'm wearing the Aura ring, So
right. Yeah,
we
I'm
are
wearing the
there you go.
whoop.
So we're all very, like, data hungry.
Yeah,
But I
data
think
on ourselves, right? Which is
exactly,
like, yeah,
exactly. But and then maybe that's linked to,
biohacking and yeah,
yeah, and then I'm sure we're gonna touch this later on, like, AI and, like, having that in your house, like having a fridge that can,
yeah.
kind of like say, okay,
You
this
need
you
to
did,
buy
you know,
some.
tell you the recipes what to have if you're looking to have this kind of level of, boy, like for your kids, like, food for your kids. So, that security, wellness, all that stuff is kind of feeding its way in. I still think that it's tailored to a certain level of price tag,
Sure.
but in the future it will become probably more and more affordable,
Mhm.
like, like smart homes,
Sure. I guess the sky is the limit,
yeah.
right? In terms of what, like, you can have. I was just speaking earlier with Jeff about this, but when it comes to choosing items in your house, um, it's like, do you want option A shower head, option
Mm,
B shower head, or option C?
mm,
Option C is 20 quid.
mm,
Option A can be like £10,000.
yeah,
And then you have those options for every single thing in your house, from the
yeah,
tiles to the thing. And then if you're, so there's a huge range of
yeah,
how much you can spend on your house once you multiply
yeah,
that range for every item to the third. And then, you can include other machinery. If you're talking about wellness, you can almost
mm,
have like a home, wellness um, equipment there that can be like, a flotation tank,
yeah,
or like cold plunges are now
mm,
getting very popular. Saunas and
mm,
steam rooms have been there quite a while. They're quite
yeah,
they've been kind of integrated into shower units for quite a
yeah,
while. Are you finding a lot of people want that?
yeah. I think a lot of people,
That's quite normal now,
a lot
almost,
of
isn't
people,
it?
if they can afford it,
Yeah,
will want to create. I think the minimum design criteria is, can you make my space, even if it's my bathroom, feel like a spa?
yeah,
Feel like you go in there and it's like a luxury spa feeling. So at the start, forget all that high tech stuff. At the
yeah.
start, it's more like, okay, how can we create a calming feeling,
Sure.
of a
Which
wellness spa?
itself is wellness, right? Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So so right now we look at, large tiles which are textured. Look at soft matte materials for the sink. Look at,
Soft.
curved instead of like square, like even to detail, instead of square knobs, you're looking for round knobs with a bit of a kind of a earthy material. Like right
Mm.
now, like dark bronze or dark gunmetal, like things that have a bit of kind of
More
connect you to the earth.
natural.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
natural. So that's your first. And then again, the lighting. Going back to lighting, you'll look at your functional lighting, which is obviously for shaving, whatever. Then you have your aesthetic lighting, like a
Mood
mood
lighting.
light.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's your first step,
So
you
you
know?
ideally want to have kind of different
Yeah,
scenes. So you want to
exactly.
have your daytime scene. Now
You
it's
have your
like
bath time scene.
romance, kind of
Exactly. Yeah. So
romance
a-
engaged.
and then so that's stage one, and then stage two, as you said, okay, okay, I can afford that. Can I afford to have some kind of, you know toilet, Japanese toilet,
Yeah.
special shower that remembers the setting that I like? Can I do a sauna? Have I got room for a steam room? Steam rooms are probably the most easily accessible thing to
Yeah.
do. Um,
Because now that's, as long as you have a sealed unit,
exactly.
then you just need to have that like, behind the
Yeah,
tiles with a
and
little output, right?
most plumbers, builders can
Can do
install that
that. Yeah.
themselves. So it's kind of like one after the other. When you're looking at plunge pools and when you're looking at dry saunas, and then
Yeah,
that's almost
that's
then
getting a
that's almost
bit
having a separate room
excessive.
for
Yeah,
that. Then
yeah,
you need like to have, okay, this is my wellness area,
yeah.
gym, whatever.
Sure.
And obviously London is not super. Uh, London
Accommodating.
houses aren't blessed with a lot of space,
Yeah,
so then it's like, how can we be creative? Like, can we sacrifice a room? And it could be that as well. Nowadays, can we sacrifice a room for that? You
for the
know,
wellness side. Yeah,
so I'd rather have that than a full walk-in wardrobe. That's more
sure.
important to me than that.
So what else is out there? Have you seen any innovative new products coming out or things that are,
I think it's more in terms of products, it's more styles. What are people being drawn into? And I think going back to the kind of the bathroom discussion, people are getting more and more drawn into kind of connecting with nature. So
mm,
having more warm materials. So we have a lot of clients who want to have that micro cement on the wall and
yeah,
that give that textured feeling.
yeah,
Again, I think that gives you that inside outside feeling. You're kind of connecting with the natural material. It looks natural, that is. And then it's different types of flooring. It's like before you just had the standard parquet herringbone. Now
yeah,
you've got all types of styles you can have for engineered wood flooring. In terms of smart technology, if we're going back to that discussion, as you said, like the world's your oyster. But
yeah.
at this point, it's very, very it depends on how much you've got to spend on it. Like if you can have a house that is completely smart, can tell you how much you're spending on the bills, like can kind of monitor, your heating, you probably have, you have that in your house, like
Through
heating,
yeah, through one
through one
central
central location. That's
system
your
that's
basic
programmed.
starting
Yeah,
model. But I think I do think that the next step is going to being more focused on wellness. People want to they go to all these nice hotels, they go to these beautiful, holidays.
mm.
They want to bring that
Back
back
home,
home.
they want to have the sort of comfy bed sheets.
Yeah.
They
It's
want to
it's
have
it's
the
not all technology, exactly. It's like the
yeah,
comfy bed sheets is that, oh, I want to have that firm mattress that I
yeah.
was in Soho Hotel in Mykonos or something.
Exactly, yeah.
I want
And some of the
to
hotels, they sell
They do.
the mattresses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
they do. So
yeah,
we
so
we stay at this hotel in Oslo. It's called Thief Hotel, and it's so nice. It's like a boutique little hotel on the fjords, and the best mattress. So we asked them, okay, what's the mattress there? And it's true, they sell it. It's for them. It's another business, but it's all
yeah.
about design. Like when people design their own homes, it's a lot of it is based on the experiences they've had
Mm.
and what they've seen.
Yeah.
And so I really love how they did their archway. And then you've noticed now, like everyone is doing archways now.
Arches, yeah.
And that's going back to medieval designs
Sure.
almost. So it's
It's like fashion, it comes back in and out
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
paneling. Like, who would have thought, like 20 years ago, like or 15 years ago, now everyone wants, lovely paneling, ornate cornicing. You can even have
Sure.
it in the most modern flats and it goes really well. But it's
Yeah, that mix of the classic
timeless.
panel with
Yeah.
the sort of modern, like,
Yeah,
accessories or, lighting, whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think you just have to, I think when you're designing anything, especially if it's in London and with London, for us, I'm so happy that we set up a company in London because I don't think personally we could have done the kind of designs we've done in any other towns around London. Firstly, like the budget. Secondly,
Sure.
like the
Unless you're into, like,
creativity.
Cotswolds or some kind of
Yeah, cool. We do a
specific
couple of
little niches.
projects in the countryside,
Right.
but they are very much countryside style
So you
projects.
keep it to
We
that
keep it.
rustic, but,
Yeah.
like, British country style.
Yeah,
Right.
exposed wooden beams,
Mm.
kind of that like lime wash on the outside of the house, the kind of um the floorboards, all different thicknesses, almost like there's perfection in the imperfection.
Sure.
But with houses in London, I love the fact that we're such a hot pot of different designs. Like
Yeah.
your house has got you've got a lovely, almost like Italian, modern, but with then the classic British, uh,
Mixed in, yeah.
mixing inside it. Um, you can't. London's great like that. You can have in one. We've done for example, a very high end minimalism, like Japan flat in Holland Park, which you
Right.
would never expect, to a again to a very classic house design in Notting Hill. So it's great that way. Like you said, you don't know until you enter the door what you're going to see when it comes to London design,
Yeah,
and
it
that's what I
could,
love
it
about
could
it.
be anything. So, like, do your clients come to you with Pinterest boards? Is that
Mm.
typically the starting point?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
they're like, I like this, I like that, and
yeah,
then you just draw from that.
yeah. So it's usually the first step is having a chat with them, usually in at their where they live or in our office, and just kind of understanding what do they want from, what's their brief. They will then send us a Pinterest board, and that Pinterest board will either be like subdivided into each room, or it could be like the entire house. And usually, and we've all been there, the Pinterest board is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You talk about like maybe they've had 6 months to create
Because
this.
once you start to look at one,
Oh my
they're
god.
like similar, and you're like,
Yeah.
yes,
And the algorithm of Pinterest
yeah,
probably is like, okay, you
exactly.
like that and you like that and you like, and then suddenly you've just gone from like a beige bathroom to a black and white monochrome, and somehow you think, actually, I like both of these styles. How do I make it work?
Yeah,
So we take that. We understand a little bit about the client's budget, which
yeah,
is
that's what
super
I was gonna say.
important.
How do you? That's one of the biggest challenges with construction, right?
Yeah,
Especially when people are doing their own properties,
yeah,
and they obviously, people want the best. They see stuff on Pinterest, they want
yeah,
the same, and then how do you manage the client's expectations when they show you some Pinterest board that's like, you know,
yeah.
champagne Pinterest board with beer money budget to
I
to
mean,
make
look,
it happen.
there's always when we first started the company, or when I was creating the name for the company,
Hmm.
uh, Aflux stands for affordable luxury.
Right.
So my aim was every client has their own taste and wants to create something that's bespoke to them. Again, for me, that's like a definition of luxury because they're creating something that's tailor made to what they want to have. It's like
Mm,
having a car and tailor making it to what you want.
right.
Um, then how can we make that happen in an affordable way?
Yeah.
Obviously, affordability is all relative to someone. Someone's
Yeah. Yeah.
affordability is like 5,000, someone is 500,000.
Yeah.
Um, but how can we realistically make that work for them? So
Mm,
if someone comes up to us with a certain design,
mm,
our first answer is not like, okay, this is going to cost you a lot of money. First answer is, okay, like what's the way we can make it in the most reasonable budget? So
mm.
if it's paneling and you've got beautiful paneling on the walls, then I'll say, okay, if they can't afford the full paneling on the wall, maybe we do a data rail. We do it underneath the data rail. We get it from B&Q, and
Sure.
we cost it like that because we're still giving them something to what they want, but at a slightly more affordable cost.
Yeah, because you can achieve a similar look often
Yeah,
with different,
yeah,
say a tile.
yeah.
You could get marble, or you could get a sort of
Porcelain.
porcelain that
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
almost the same color with the same veining, even,
exactly. And then
etc.
and then you take that, and for me, like for us, it's always been about, as you said, okay, porcelain tiles. Looking at designs, and I dare to say it, we've even put IKEA wardrobes in a project. But then you bring down the ceiling, you put the curving around it, you add a
Yeah,
nice handle. It looks
you
now
integrate
bespoke.
it nicely. Yeah,
Now, what
and
we found.
IKEA has some
It's good
good
stuff.
stuff
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah. There's some stuff on our website that's like, yeah,
Don't
I'm not
knock
telling you.
it.
No, 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 no.
Don't knock it.
Exactly. And we're also blessed with we're like tradesmen who we
Yeah,
think do very good joinery, very good materials
yeah.
at not high end cost. You don't have to pay. I feel like paying for the brand name. If you pay
Yeah,
for
it's like taste, right? Like if you see someone wearing head to toe designer
it's almost more
clothes,
off putting.
it
Yeah,
doesn't that, you can have someone who might be wearing head to toe, no designer, but
yeah.
the sort of cut of the clothes they've
Mm,
chosen, or the coloring
mm.
and the textures or whatever,
It's like quiet luxury,
yeah,
like subtle. Yeah,
which is the way things are also going, right?
yeah.
People don't want this sort of garishness
No,
anymore. They want to be more discreet,
yeah.
more comfortable.
Yeah.
People,
And I think when you have like for us, it started as affordable luxury. I think
now it's gone
now
to
now it's just gone to luxury because
unaffordable.
unaffordable luxury. Well, it's the cost of construction
Mm.
and you've seen this, the cost of construction
Has
post
jumped up
COVID
crazy.
has
And
jumped up,
Brexit.
and
Yeah.
Brexit
Yeah.
has,
It was like a double whammy, right?
it's ridiculous. Like what you house price, no, construction has gone up 2 3x, in the space of like 2 years.
Yeah.
So what you could have afforded, and maybe you sat and like, okay, I'll wait until I can afford it. It just got more and more expensive,
Yeah.
more than your salary. So you can't keep up. So it has gone to a point where, even for us, the affordable part of it, it's I would say it's the cost has gone up.
Yeah.
We have to be more creative as to how can we add value to a
Yeah.
property without a full gut. Like, I'll give you one example. We have a project in Notting Hill. He had a budget, a healthy budget, but not enough to do a full gut, which is kind of what the house needed, to be honest. So what we did is that, okay,
So you
you've given us
mean
a
he
pot,
couldn't strip it down
couldn't strip it down
completely
completely, no.
because even the strip cost too much, or
No, because then when you put a new kitchen in, it's like the fixtures and fittings. Once you've added the strip, once you've added the full rewiring, replumbing, and then you add the cost of all the fixtures and fittings, it was
yeah,
going up to at least 100K more than what you could afford.
see,
So what we said, okay, you've given us a budget. Let's take that budget and see how can we add value, keeping some items and not, like trying to like play around with the budget. So in that aspect, okay, we changed the flooring, we kept the kitchen. We made the design to try and work around certain areas that we were keeping. So we you have to be a bit more flexible now.
mm,
So I wouldn't say we're still kind of, we try to maintain that affordability,
yeah,
but it's just that the kind of the area you're working with has become a bit more constrained. You have to be a bit more creative as to what you can do
yeah.
to tweak
And
things.
sometimes you have to sacrifice,
You
right?
have to.
Like that always comes up, especially during the project when there was one budget and the budget changes
Yeah,
tends to change during,
always,
depending on what's happening on you know
always changes.
something. Yeah,
You
that's
can't have that
a big
jacuzzi on
challenge,
your
right?
ceiling anymore on your
Right. So
rooftop. You got to cut that. Just
and then
have
the couple starts arguing, like,
yeah,
what's gonna
exactly.
get cut?
Yeah, you promised the swimming pool, like, oh, okay.
Oh,
But
yeah.
look, I do think it's, especially in London, because obviously now the big topic is, a lot of our clients are high end earners. They are, they're not, I wouldn't say they are on the uber wealthy,
Right.
but they've worked hard to get where they are. None of them have
Sure.
been given like a silver spoon.
They're
So
sort of middle
they're,
class hard
yeah,
workers,
they
professionals,
might
right?
own a hedge fund and things like that, but they've definitely worked hard. Like,
Right.
so our budgets range now, like I think our minimum budget probably ranges from around 200K to 2 million.
Right.
And I know 200K sounds like a lot of money, but when you're looking at a flat refurbishment, 200K is not at all,
No.
especially in London.
Yeah.
Um, so we have to be we have to try and be as clever to say, okay, how do we add value? How do we make it functional? How do we make it tailored to their needs? And how do we keep it in budget? Budget is such an important conversation now. It's almost leading the conversation now more
Yeah.
than anything else.
And how much can you tie down the budget at the beginning of the project?
Yeah, so again, this is maybe where my EY skills, or LAC, like the
Okay.
numbers side, and I think this is why I haven't done any plugging of Aflux designs, but this is probably why I think having myself as the kind of the strategist and the numbers guy,
Yeah.
and then having Sarah, who is the design creative, and merging us together is really helpful because she can design something and she can kind of put forward these ideas. But before we present something, we always have that chat. Okay, let's look at the budget.
I
Is this
see.
affordable? Can the clients really
Yeah.
afford it?
That's actually interesting because often if you're just dealing with the designer,
Hmm.
they want to shoot for the moon
Yeah,
and then just
always,
put it on the client and be like, well, you pay for it and it adds to my
always.
portfolio kind
Yeah,
of.
like
Yeah.
Sarah's background, she worked for, she did projects worth tens of millions in Chelsea in central London. I managed to convince her to work with humble old me,
Right.
because I thought, okay, there's a market for us to work with, a more of a, let's be like a one-stop shop. Let with my hat on and your hat on, let's combine forces. And I think it has worked really well. A lot of our feedback is that we like the fact that you come to, you're like pragmatic design. You're
Yeah.
designing stuff, but you also are not forgetting that you've got a budget and you've got a scope you got to keep with, and you're doing a full one-stop shop service. So our builders, um, are very much working for us. We're very much on the client side, but then my diplomacy hat. I have to make sure like all the parties are happy and are, like are satisfied with how the project's going. So it is having Sarah with her like kind of Italian flair, and pulling that, and then having her experience of already 20 years in London, so that's kind of muddled in together, and then having my experience with the kind of business side and entrepreneurial side. Okay, where can we look? What kind of ways can we look to find other clients? How can we make sure we project manage our refurbishments better? It's a nice kind of merger, and so far it's worked very, very well.
And then are you managing always the contractor? Always.
Yeah, so a lot of the time,
So the client only has one point of contact, that's you.
yeah, so one client, I never forget, one client said to us, and I think when you have a business, I think that's probably how it should work to a certain degree.
Mm.
They say they want one neck to choke.
Yeah.
So where I'm usually the neck, because they want to choke Sarah's neck. So I'm usually like the neck. I sacrifice my neck
Right.
as the one that's chokeable. But for them it's easier because you've done your house refurb. You don't want to
Yeah.
be dealing with the Windows guy, the
Yeah, yeah.
electrician, everything. Like it's a headache. So we take
Also,
on
one
that.
thing that I've found is, you know, some people might try to have manage it themselves. The biggest problem I've seen is when there's a threshold in
Hmm.
between two different companies working, and then that threshold is where there's always the issue. Like, there's one guy's done this bit, someone
Oh
else
yeah,
has done that. If there's an
the
issue,
blaming game.
blame game.
Yeah,
And then it becomes, they immediately, the reaction is always like, it was those bloody,
yeah,
joinery guys, or that electrician didn't know what he was doing, or
yeah,
whatever. Then it becomes like, oh, if there's a mistake,
yeah.
who's going to pay to rectify it?
So I think this is, again, when you have a business, what I think clients appreciate is honesty.
Yeah.
And I think if you're willing to say, I'll take ownership for something, it might have been someone else has done the work, but it's under your umbrella.
Yeah.
And
That's the good sort of one neck to choke. And
yeah,
then if there's anything wrong, it's on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think I've often found, and it could be, for example, there's a delay in the project, and the delay in the project is not because of anything we've done. It might be a supplier has just had some difficulty, or the builders, unfortunately, underestimated the timeline. I think going to a client and being honest with them and saying, "Look, this is the reality of where we are," as early as possible. I think they the clients appreciate that,
Yeah.
rather than kind of going around the matter and like finding excuses and
And
things
then
like that.
later it comes up. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the communication thing is always very reassuring when
Mm.
there is a crisis or something goes wrong. In any business situation,
Yeah.
I find the communication helps if people are being updated rather than
Yeah.
ignored, or like a delay in getting back to them. It raises the suspicion level. Then,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, people get nervous and angsty.
Because if you
Yeah.
have a business, and they're like interior designers, let's not kid ourselves. There's probably a million interior designers in London, or not a million, but a lot of interior designers
Yeah.
in London, and a lot of them can probably do a pretty good job. They've all gone to school, they've all learned how the techniques. They're now probably using some, system, some like computer system to even do better, renders and whatnot. Um, I think the thing that makes the difference are old-fashioned skills like communication,
Yeah.
trust, you
Emotional
know?
intelligence.
Exactly. That,
Yeah.
like, those things that a computer can't copy.
Yeah.
And maybe then that's going to our next conversation. I'm sure you're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
But like that person-to-person
Yeah.
interaction is probably one of the most obviously subject to cost to a certain degree, but that person-to-person interaction is so important. And I think those key ingredients like communication and trust
Yeah.
are what a client is giving you a pot of money, giving you their house,
Yeah.
and say, we're going to now live, 8 months rented accommodation, or something like
Yeah.
that. And like, we're employing you to turn this house into our home, that we
A
are now going to
dream
live there
home. Yeah.
our kids are going to go to school. They're going to, like, can you make this happen? So when you take a step back, it actually is quite a daunting,
level of trust
Yeah,
they've installed in you.
yeah.
Yeah, they've instilled in you.
And yeah, so I think that that again it goes all the way back to your first question, like what is luxury? You know,
Yeah,
it's all of these ingredients go into that.
yeah. And then if the clients have a good experience, I'm guessing you get lots of referrals from
Yeah,
that. That must be probably your biggest source of new business, would you say?
yeah. I think referrals are probably the biggest source. So we
Yeah,
were when we first
because
started.
it's like proof, right? Oh, someone goes to someone's house. Oh,
Yeah,
you finally moved in. Great. Oh,
yeah. Have
who
a
did your
party,
place?
exactly.
Yeah.
But when we first started, I set up our profile on a website called House. I don't know if
Oh
you know
yeah. HA.
HOUZZ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And back then, it was over 10 years ago, it was free. And we set up our profile there as a design and build company. Again, it was, the projects that we posted were very early days, like it maybe like it was a very, I just put it on, like, let's see what happens. At that time, that was our main source of business, like
Right.
getting referrals from house and
So randoms
organically
from the internet
from the
saw
internet.
your photos
Yeah.
of your finished
And saw the
product.
reviews that we
Right.
got as well, because we
Okay.
got, like, if you go on there now and you go to House, again, a little soft plug, but you go to House and you put Aflux Designs in,
Yeah.
you'll see us as organically, like, in the top 10 of in thousands and thousands, probably even sometimes in the top 5. We have around 60
In
reviews
London.
in London, yeah.
Wow.
So we do get a lot of business through there. We get a lot of business through our referrals from the projects we work with. And then, dare I say it, my own charm, having lived
Oh
in
yeah.
London a lot of the time. So so there's a bit of that. But then again, they wouldn't employ us if they haven't they even the colleagues who have said to me, "All right, Amit, can you look at, I'm looking at buying a house." They'll see the projects that we've done. I'll
Sure.
always show them
They'll
a
see your
house.
track record. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
exactly.
important. Absolutely. For something like the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
That like you've actually managed to finalize the projects and hand it over. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into the where do you think
Oh God.
AI is
Yeah.
gonna eat into you? I mean, into your job, into your
Yeah.
role. I mean, have you played with it a bit in terms of in
So,
your workflows anywhere?
so I
Because there's like I mean, I've seen some incredible stuff on Instagram of
yeah.
like, there's lots of people who are doing like using AI in innovative ways in architectural
Yeah.
designs. I don't know how they're doing it, but it looks pretty cool. And they're coming up with some ideas that maybe a normal human wouldn't, or they're like meshing,
Hmm.
mixing ideas and, sometimes to a surreal level of like
Have you seen
incredible
those, like,
spot
hotels
in a
in
cave
Egypt?
or
Like, what
whatever.
are the pharaohs hotel? They've, like, someone designed these hotels as if they were in, like, 2000 BC, but like modern hotels, but with, like, the pyramids in the background and like 2000 BC with the pharaohs living. Like, what would they look like now? Like, if you had
Yeah.
like all the mod cons. But I love it how they've managed to merge, like, it's super creative, like
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And I think we personally we're personally probably using subcontractors who are very well versed in it to maybe pull out renders for us
I
at a
see.
higher speed. They're maybe using Midjourney, or they're using other kind of tools to create that.
Yeah.
I think as a creative tool, AI will help you pull together the design concepts at the beginning
Mm.
at a much quicker and faster pace and more realistic pace, for
Yeah.
sure. Even SketchUp, like I've seen on Instagram people using SketchUp
Yeah.
and just start and how it's turning a normal 2D design to a 3D, and then the 3D, it just
Can SketchUp do that?
it can sketch.
Does
Yeah,
SketchUp have
it has
AI
3D
integrated now?
capability. I think it has it now. I think it has
Right.
it now. I think every program has AI in it. Look at Canva, that has
Yeah,
AI integrated.
yeah, yeah.
Notion, like we use Notion for project management, that has AI. I
Yeah.
think all these programs are trying to put AI in their in integration, but
Yeah.
I think also, now I feel like AI is such, like, everyone is saying it, everyone's
Yeah.
using it. Like, it's how we use it right now is more on the project management side. So we use it for Notion. There's another program that we're currently exploring called Programmer, and that is tailor made for interior designers and
Really.
architects. So it does your design schedules, it does your finishing schedule. It will help pull together mood boards. It has the client can access certain areas as well. So it's a live feed and they can comment on it. Um, Again, how much of it is AI and how much of it is just a more advanced project management tool that is using better systems and
Mm,
better kind of user interfaces? Um, I definitely think AI for us will help us become more efficient,
yeah.
more productive, will help us be maybe more creative at the beginning. Um, but I still think, and as a company, that person to person interaction, like
Yeah.
I
You
even asked
can't replace it.
ChatGPT myself. I said, like, well, how will AI impact our jobs? And like, ChatGPT has access to our website, my
Yeah.
LinkedIn, everything, so it already knows who I am. And it came up with a very honest response. It said, look, it will, it doesn't see it as a threat to our line of work
Mm-hmm.
because we are very human to human. So we are like client to client, client facing.
Yeah.
A client, I don't personally think a client who's doing a £2 million refurbishment
Yeah.
can just put in a prompt in AI and say,
Yeah.
you do it, or get someone in another country to say, look, this is what I want to do. Can you just create, can you design it, project manage it, build it? Like
Yeah.
they need
It's
some,
still very physical, especially with
yeah,
construction. Yeah.
and
Like,
emotional,
yeah, and
emotional.
emotion. Yeah. Yeah.
I think, you say like, a lot of people say like Chat GBT hallucinates, like
Yeah,
AI.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, and it's a very convincing liar. We were
very
just saying
convincing.
earlier that
Very,
it comes up with
oh
stuff that
my God.
sounds pretty spot on,
It
and
doesn't know how
then
to say no. It doesn't know how to
yeah,
say no. So with,
and it's a bit of an ass kisser as
yeah,
well.
I've tried
Massive.
so many times to say, stop saying all my questions are great questions. They're not great questions. But with AI and interior design, um, honestly speaking, for us, we're still learning.
I
We're like,
always feel like there has to be a human kind of driving it at the end
yeah,
of the day. It's almost like the question itself, like how you formulate the question or the
that's the
prompt.
most important part.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
So it's
prompt
always,
engineer.
yeah, prompt engineering, which is almost like, if you had a normal organization and you had employees,
Yeah,
you would have to like train them
yeah,
and tell them about what it is you want from them in
yeah,
terms of the task. So being able to define that is
yeah.
still a very human thing.
But
And
I tell you what, the first step of the design process, as I mentioned, was, or if I didn't mention, is the design concept. So we
mm,
we take everything. We start very macro. So if you
yeah,
come to us, you say, "Look, I've got a house. This is my style." The first thing we do is we take you to showrooms. I want to understand what you like in terms of visually, textures, budget, costings. We then spend a couple of days with the client in different shops, kitchens, tiles, flooring, lighting. After that, and we digested your Pinterest and we've spoke to you, understand like what things irritate you, what things, we literally like
so you've already had
a
some
deep dive.
info and
Yeah.
then you take them on shopping based on what they've already
Yeah.
showed you.
And
Okay.
then we pull all that together. We invite the client to our office and
Mm,
we do a proper design presentation. We're with the floor plan, room by room, with textures. So there's
okay.
fabric, flooring, tiles, lighting,
Little
images as well,
samples.
samples.
Right.
An AI is not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You can get a lovely mood board and have that and do that on visually,
Yeah.
but you want to touch the material. You want to,
Yeah.
when you look at wood, and I look at your desk, for example,
Yeah.
uh, that is a different color versus there. Like
Yeah.
the way the light shines on it, the way the texture feels on it. You're not going to get that by looking at a computer.
Mm.
The way it feels like this is, like the heaviness of it. So there, I, and maybe this is famous last words, but
Right. Yeah.
like we'll see in 5 years time.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
like
I can't see that being replaced. I don't see how the physical element. And again, if you are spending a lot of money on it, are you going to say you're going to trust all that money to to a to a kind of a non-entity or something like that?
yeah.
There are ways that a client could probably save costs. It could possibly
Yeah.
say, look, I've done a bit of a mood board myself. I've done a floor plan myself. And if you're doing your own kitchen extension, or if you're doing like a one room design
Yeah.
and you're going to go to a certain shop, that's possible. But if you're doing a full house refurb where you've got multiple, plates that you're spinning, and you've got a full-time job as well at the same time, which most of our clients have,
Yeah.
you need that, almost like a one-stop shop service
Yeah.
to deal with it. People pay us, I think, not just for the design. They pay us to say, look, we don't. It's an opportunity cost. I'm putting all the
Yeah.
economic side of things back in
Yeah.
there.
No, it's
We
like
don't
a
have the time to deal with it.
it's like a mental bandwidth thing
Yeah,
as well. I mean, that's what I find my biggest problem is there's too many things going on,
yeah,
and how do I allocate like I could do everything in my to-do list myself
yeah,
if I had infinite time, or there was five of me
yeah.
and I could just be like, me do that. But yeah,
But
it's an
see, a lot of people do think like
and
that.
and a lot of the clients probably think that,
Yeah,
but then they think like, yeah, I could go to the shops and get all the samples
exactly. Yeah.
myself, whatever.
So
But
so when you think about, and look, opportunity cost. So if
yeah,
you if you're a client, and we look, fair play, we've pitched for a project, and then the client said, look, I can't afford to pay it, and that's fine. So if we look at a project, and our fee for a two-bedroom flat maybe around 30K, and
hmm
that's a lot of money.
yeah,
Um, but that project is going to last potentially a year and a half.
yeah,
Now, in a year and a half, that 30K is going to save the client trade discounts.
yeah,
Maybe we get a more competitive builder. Maybe we don't take, there's less mistakes done in the refurbishment, so
yeah.
the cost of the build is less. So, uh, and then there's the
I'm
opportunity
just so
cost.
used to doing it, so you do
Yeah,
everything faster.
yeah.
If they were to do it themselves, it would
Yeah,
take
if they were to
3
do it
years.
themselves,
Yeah,
then they can calculate what their cost per hour is, and if they can say, okay, I'm going to spend it every weekend. I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning,
yeah,
do that part, or do it in the evening. They calculate how many hours they spent. Then they couldn't spend on anything else as well. They have to
yeah,
allocate the
yeah,
time on that. Then they can see, oh, actually, you know what, 30K is worth it
yeah.
because I can then allocate my time on other things. We know that these
Yeah,
guys are going to
which they're
add value.
specialists in, and they've put more
Exactly.
hours in. Like, you've made mistakes that if they're doing it for the first time,
Yeah.
then it's expensive to make a mistake
Yeah.
on your own project the first time. Whereas you've, gone through that cycle, learned, adjusted,
Exactly.
recalibrated your processes, technique. Okay, don't use that supplier. That guy works, that guy does
Yeah.
it, etc. Whereas if they're just
True.
going in blind the first time, then
Yeah.
yeah, it's that makes sense. Yeah. Excellent. So let's go into some dream projects.
Oh.
Who's your if budget and client constraints didn't exist, what would you design?
I love these questions that you've just created yourself. They're so well thought of. They are. Um, if budget and see, because that's I feel like that's like a trick question, because if you asked it like someone that question, I guess the
Because
answer
you
would
need
be
it.
a massive mansion with infinity pool, sauna room there, blood, something over there. It's I think it's I almost feel sometimes when budgets don't exist, it's a harder job.
Yeah, because you need the constraint. I find with creativity,
Yeah.
you need the constraint,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the creativity happens. If you
Yeah.
don't have a constraint, then
It's infinite.
it's just unleashed, and
Yeah.
then it's like,
And how do you tie it all together?
yeah,
And then that's when you see those people with the Louis Vuitton, head to toe outfits, because they're like, I don't know what to spend my money on. I'll just wear that. So I think,
and it also like forces you
yeah.
sometimes, like a restriction or a hurdle
Hmm.
makes you come up with something
Yeah.
creative, and then the end result is more interesting
So
as well.
so in a way, I think it's more what's if we had the freedom to design something, what kind of style would we go for?
Yeah.
What kind of, and for me, it's probably it would be amazing to design something that is so like unique in its
Mm.
way, that you that and you go there and you think, okay, how do they create that? What's their reasoning behind there? But everything flows together. Like you see sometimes the designs on Elle Decor or Vogue Living or Architectural Digest, and these houses have got so much kind of emotion in them. And I
Mm.
think to create something where it's like you've created almost like the house is a character, and
Yeah.
that would be my dream project, where the rooms you go into them, and every room has got like a speaking, like some kind of like a wow factor or
It's
something
like a
there.
one-off,
Yeah, and everything's got
something
like a character
unique.
base to it. Sometimes I love like it's
Iconic, something
iconic. Yeah.
iconic. You wanna do something iconic, yeah.
You look at some of the houses, for example, in Hampstead, and sometimes I do think like British design is so nice because you've got. I love the Hampstead or the Highgate, the old like the classic Edwardian style homes. You go there,
Mansions,
and
yeah.
they've like the staircases. There's so much color in it. Like the staircase is black, and then they've got like a yellow, kind of handrail, and they've got like just everything pops of color, pops of personality. I think for us to kind of like create things, I love when we're adding personality to the house, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that's what I've enjoyed a lot more. And like we're doing a house in Primrose Hill. I think that will probably be our two houses that we've recently done, one in Chiswick and one in Primrose Hill, two in Primrose Hill. They're both, I feel, are going to be our iconic houses that are hopefully going to be on the Elle decors, on the Vogue livings,
Right.
and we're hopefully they're going to be ready by the end of the year. And I think that those houses will elevate us to the next level of interior design.
And then that has your sort of stamp on it.
Yeah,
So would you say there is like a through line
an
of
Aflux stamp.
a flux stamp?
Yeah, I think definitely there's a stamp of when you look at our designs, it's difficult because our designs of houses are so different. But what you'll see from there is probably a element of like layered kind of textures,
Mm,
layered design. So
right.
we have a warm interiors, like modern warm interiors, but we've added layers to them. So when you look at the kitchens that we've done before, we've added architectural like arcs. We've put crittle, we put different materials in there,
Mm,
high ceilings, modern fittings with a interesting art or interesting lighting feature. So
yeah.
you'll see things there that can kind of show, all right, that's our kind of like our modus operandum. They can see how we've
Like an eclectic
yeah,
juxtaposition
yeah.
of things.
And
Yeah.
but it works. Like we always try and make it flow. End of
Yeah.
the day, like when you see the kitchen and the living room, and you've got upstairs, you've got the bedrooms. We'll try and create a kind of general flow around where the textures, the colors, the materials we're using, they're all connected.
Mm.
So the styles might be different, but there is a flow throughout their home.
I must imagine must feel quite satisfactory to actually go there. Do you ever
Yeah,
go to
my favorite part.
the
Favorite
sort
part.
of dinners up there afterwards
Yeah,
and then be
it's
like, yes,
so I know I was going
I
back,
made this.
and I was going back, and I was like, "Oh my god, they've got their kids' toys all over the place." But to be honest, there is that warm, fuzzy feeling, like they're living in the house.
Yeah,
They're living in their home.
yeah,
They've made it their own to a certain degree. Like you can design it for them, but then they're gonna put pictures of their family on the walls,
yeah.
or
So
they,
hey, that's
yeah,
ruining the
no, but yeah, but
your grandma's face.
yeah,
Look at that.
exactly for the shoots. But it really does make us like I love my favorite part of the project is probably the beginning
Mm,
when we're knocking everything down and creating the spaces, and towards the end when you see it
right.
coming together.
Yeah.
And there's been times when we started where Sarah and me, like on the day before the client comes, I'm like, I've got my broom. We're there on a Saturday. We're cleaning
Right.
everything. We're making everything presentable. We buy a couple of candles. We'll style it. And then when they come into the house, it's almost like this is your home, like they come
Right.
in and and seeing the reaction, because we try and like for the last like week or two, we try and
Not let them come
not let
in.
them in because we have to clean. We like it's all hands on deck usually at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. You want
So
it to be like a nice impact
yeah,
of here's the
exactly. And
keys.
I've recorded a couple of them, and
It gets
I
quite
it
emotional,
is,
right?
yeah, you see
Yeah.
them get so emotional, and then they live in it, and then obviously there's that period of time where we're kind of like twiddling, where we're like nervous because they're living in the, but they're using everything. So
Yeah.
and
The
then obviously
snagging
the
starts.
snagging list. Oh, the snagging list is
Yeah.
is special. The snagging list is special, and every client is different. Some clients are some clients are to the millimeter, and we always try and look at that. Okay, we take every client as if they are to that
Right.
level. So when
So
we go,
you're quite
we have
OCD
to be,
yourself, yeah.
but then some clients are quite happy. They're like, okay, we'll tolerate that little bit
He
of
didn't
difference.
notice,
He
don't
didn't
worry.
notice, yeah. But usually, we give our clients like a 3 month, a 6 month kind of grace period. Live in your house,
Mm.
see what like, try everything, live in it. There will be cracks on the
How
wall.
long would you go back and fix things
It
for
depends on the
typically?
project. They usually, if it's a flat, it's a couple of months. If it's a house, it's probably 6 months. If it's in a full extension basement, we leave it a year. The house has to it almost it's a
Had to settle
living
in.
thing. It has to
Yeah,
like settle with the different seasons that we have. It has
yeah.
to really be
Because
you.
they even say that like after you finish a build, then the house itself will move a
Has to
bit.
breathe.
Yeah, it has to like
Yeah,
let the heat
yeah.
change in
And we
temperatures.
tell our clients, look, do not stress if you get a little crack on the wall. Don't worry if there's a bit of a smudge mark there. We'll fix that. If it's something important like the hot water's not working, then of course that has to be done straight away.
Yeah.
But general little things like that, again, it's just kind of client management, making
So
sure
then do you have your own sort of go-to contractors that you always use or?
So our go-to contractors was one of them we met off by chance looking at one project when I was working with my father for property development, and we could hear banging on the wall, and we upstairs. So we went up there, saw him, really liked him as a Polish guy, and he's been with us now on all our projects for clients for the last like 10 years even. And what we've liked about him is that he cares more about the project sometimes than the client does. Like he'll give his input, like, does this work, does it not work? We have very frank conversations with him,
Mm.
and again, we trust him, like implicitly with his with what he says. So they are go-to contractors, and then we work with other clients as well. Another client might say, look, your guy's too expensive, can we work with our guy? um then there's always a bit of a, okay, have you
Who's
done your
this
due
guy?
diligence on this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, he's coming
So
at
so have you been
50%.
forced into bed with
We
some
have,
people
we have.
and then it's been awkward?
It has been, yeah, sometimes it's a bit of an awkward. It's like, we're sleeping separate, we're not, there's no
Yeah.
spooning. There's no spooning at all. But we have had some, I think where the projects have not worked, it has been where a client has said, I've brought in someone, he's significantly cheaper, um, and he's ended up being more expensive because of the
Yeah.
mistakes.
Exactly.
Some
Yeah.
clients,
God, I've seen that so many times.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't always think about cost in the short term. You have to think long term. You have to think,
Yeah.
okay, if I've got a team and that team has worked together and and again, the one neck to choke philosophy, but
Yeah.
that they will manage and supervise and control that project from start to finish. When you have another contractor, there's a blame game.
Yeah.
There's the, oh, I didn't, that wasn't included, or they did something differently that they didn't communicate with us that our other builders normally do.
Mm.
So there are, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I think whenever you are thinking purely on the cost side of anything, you have to think, like, if you're looking at something that's a lot cheaper, there's a reason for
Yeah.
that
Like
being a lot
because
cheaper.
often what happens is you'll do the design and then it goes to tender and then there's
So
like multi contractors
yeah,
bidding
yeah.
and then you should go for this for the cheaper one in a way, but then I guess they wouldn't be in the
But
tender if you didn't like all of them.
if
Yeah.
it's referral, then they want to work with our builder as well because they've seen the works that we've
So
done.
that's
So
that's
that
that's
it's
kind of
not the
taken out
10.
the process
Yeah,
with you.
exactly. But but we do work on projects where we tender it out. So we will tender it out to our builder, and then our client will say, "I've got another guy. Can you
Right.
tender it out to this guy as well?" And that can be part of the scope, and that's fine. Um, but
Do
I
you have a quantity surveyor on your team or is that
no, you see,
no
in our projects again, like, maybe this is probably where, having not come from an interior design or architectural
or a property?
yeah,
Yeah.
background,
Yeah.
I've done things in a way my way.
Right.
So I'll do a scope of works. I'll sit with the builder. My builder might have a quantity surveyor that he uses, but I don't have a separate independent quantity surveyor because
Right.
for our project, if it's a 2-bedroom flat or it's a 6-bedroom house, I I personally also don't think, this is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but they're very expensive quantity surveyors.
Yeah.
They charge as
But
a
they charge
percentage
like
of
a
the
percentage
cost,
of yeah,
which
which
I
I
also
find
don't
is a bit of a conflict of interest
exactly.
because they're supposed to be the guys who are like managing
Yeah,
the cost. But if
yeah,
there's some sudden massive increase in cost,
yeah.
more money for
Yeah.
them. So
I've
it's like,
I've never understood, and maybe this is, you know, where we're maybe too honest with our work, but I've never understood how anyone can charge, or any in any career, any industry, a percentage of the total cost. Because if it's a project that's going to last 2 years,
yeah,
the budget that you've set is obviously not going to be what it's going to be in, and it's usually going to be like 10, 15, 20% more. And what's stopping that person saying, okay, let's put in a 100K kitchen in, or 150K kitchen in.
yeah,
The more expensive the kitchen is and they like it, I get more money out of it. It
yeah,
makes I'd rather do a flat fee. I'll calculate how many hours we need to work.
yeah.
We do have a set system where you have to say, look, we'll design X number of drawings. Now, if you've changed your mind and you suddenly want 5 bathrooms instead of four
Or
bathrooms, then that's going to
changes,
cost.
yeah,
Or
changes to the scope,
yeah,
yeah.
once you've agreed,
There has
that's
to be some
different.
amount of revisions allowed,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
But then I guess when it comes to people doing their own homes,
yeah,
especially, I mean, even during build, I guess you get clients being like, no, actually, let's put the door there.
yeah. And
And
look,
then you're like,
little things like that are fine, but I think
right,
it's more. I've never really understood if you are as you said, the incentive surely is then to not worry about the budget, and if it gets more, then you're winning
you're
as well. The only
benefiting.
person
Yeah.
suffering is the client,
Yeah.
which surely shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
So a fixed fee with parameters of how, if you're going above a certain number of changes
Mm.
or widespread changes, then you go back to, okay, well, this is how much it costs per hour to do it. For the builder, there's also on his scope. That's a little easier because then there's a physical cost. If you want to add something or take away something, there's a physical cost. But having like a lot of our projects, for example, you could say, why didn't you have a separate architect to work with you? Why can you not just be the interior designers and have an architect do the kind of architectural construction side, and
Mm.
then you have a quantity surveyor, you have like a mechanical engineering designer as
Yeah.
well. You could have as many
So
people as
that
you
you don't
want.
have those.
No,
So you
no.
do all of that. Well,
We
but the architect, don't you need an architect to sign off on it?
So an architect is we have an architect sometimes for the planning side. So the planning of the for if we're doing a large project and it's
Mm.
going into planning, we'll sometimes use an architect to do that, and that's primarily because that architect has already had experience with that council or with the planning officer. So it kind of, and they will build a set of high level construction drawings, including structural engineering drawings, which they'll coordinate. And they are people who you need to employ for that. But we kind of call ourselves architectural designers. So we can do plumbing drawings, we do design, we in lighting plans. We can understand structural drawings, construction drawings. So for us, I do try and think about the client. I don't want to bring in someone if I know that we can manage that part ourselves.
So is there no legal obligation to have an architect involved?
No, no. If you can't, we can't call ourselves architects. That's the
Yeah.
difference. We can call ourselves architectural
Ah,
designers,
sneaky.
but we can't call ourselves architects
Right.
because that's a different level. And architects, yes, they can do construction drawings, and that depends on the level of detail. If you're doing a two-bedroom flat, you
Yeah.
don't need a construction drawing. You might need a couple of structural engineering
So if
plans.
it's more interior, like internal
Yeah,
changes,
yeah.
but like you do need an architect if you're like what
External.
messing with the external or the structure,
A
is it?
struct You need a structural engineer for the
Yeah.
structure, but you don't need an architect per se to do. For new builds, you probably do because there's a lot of building regs. But for
Sure.
refurbishment, you technically don't need an architect to do that level of work. You need someone who can do technical drawings,
Mm.
and that's where we come in. But you don't have to have an architectural degree. There's a lot of, I think, people sometimes think, oh my god, I'm doing a house refurbishment, I need to get an architect,
Yeah.
and he's going to do everything for me. But then the problem is that a lot of architects, and if you ever post this, they're going to probably hate me for this, but a lot of architects, they will not really have the interior design capability. So they'll
Mm.
build you the shell, they'll do a floor plan, just for planning purposes. But
Yeah.
they won't really think about the flow, the ergonomics, the texture, the materials. They won't take you to the showrooms. They'll
Mm.
they'll kind of give you the starting blocks. So if we can do that ourselves? Why not have everything in house?
in
Like, why not,
house.
like,
And like, do you guys do like 3D
yeah,
drawings? So like, do you make 3D models which the client can like wear the headsets and
yeah,
go
that I
in?
would love. That's something I personally think I would love. To
Yeah,
send, to like post a couple of glasses to the client. That client can walk through. You can do
yeah.
everything. I think that will. I know some
Even as
after.
part, I think even as part of the design
Yeah,
process,
yeah,
because what I found is, you know, when it comes to doing the design, often everything's in 2D. So you look at
yeah,
the walls in the
yeah,
elevation, you look
mm,
at the floor plan from above, bird's eye view,
yeah,
and then somehow you've got to like create the 3D model in your head.
yeah,
And then when you're making all the decisions based on the 2D, and then you go on site and they're doing the decisions, they're executing the decisions you've made.
yeah,
And then you're like, oh, actually, now I can see it in 3D
yeah,
happening. No. Whereas if you had the goggles
yeah,
and you could like do the walkthrough, even the design bit, you could be like, hey, let's swap out that paneling for some other one. Ideally, if that, I mean, I'm just thinking, how could the technology help someone like you
yeah.
or other people doing the design and build and the relationship with the client, and almost like doing a live edit, like let's double click this, try
Yeah.
that, put something else in there, if that is even possible, which
It
I
is.
imagine
There
the tech is
there
there to make it
are
happen.
there are companies, I think, and I've Googled, I don't know the names of them, but there are companies that do it. They'll design and then they'll have a pair of glasses and they'll give the pair of glasses to the client. And then either the client does it in their own time or they do like a real-time meeting and the client's got the glasses and the design company is kind of like talking them through it.
Yeah.
Um, I think more like as I mean, I'm pretty sure even like the Apple, you could do it with the new Apple goggles or
Oh,
whatever you
right.
call them,
Yeah.
but it's not cheap. I'm pretty there. I think there's like a soft. I remember
Like
talking to someone.
SketchUp, isn't it? Can you go
You can go in,
into
but
the
I
sort
think
of
whether
goggle
it's
mode with
whether it's
SketchUp?
goggle mode, I'm not sure. I know there's companies that help that kind of like hold the database. They will kind of be the middleman to help like make that kind of facilitate that process.
Mm,
What but what it goes back to down to is time. Like
yeah.
to do that, you still need time to do the design. You need to design something. You don't want to be having the goggles while the builder is waiting for you to decide what you want to do with that living room or with that fireplace. You need to run through that entire design process
Yeah.
almost pre-construction, like have it
No, 100%.
ready.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. The design part of
Yeah,
it, it could help
and
because, to avoid the expense of changes after the
yeah,
fact.
but
That's what I mean.
but if you were to turn it on its head, you
Yeah.
then if you're doing a house refurbishment,
Yeah.
now a lot of clients will start the process once they've bought the house, or maybe a couple of months before while it's in, while they've exchanged. Do they have 6 months or 8 months? And we're talking like a full townhouse, like this kind of thing. You have to also be pragmatic. You wouldn't use it for a one-bedroom flat. You would use it maybe for something that where the budget can handle that level of service. Because even when we do renders, it's not cheap to do
Yeah.
a render.
I know.
The
Like
level of detail you go in
yeah,
and the
and there's
time.
renders, right? There's a more sort of like blocky
Oh yeah,
kind of cartoony version, and then there's like
the
full
Minecraft
like
version, and then there's
yeah, then there's like a full yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and then there's like a full sort of
yeah.
photorealistic with lighting,
That looks
which
exactly like
yeah,
what it should be, but
yeah,
that takes like almost a week to create. You have to know exactly what sofas you're putting in, what kind of furniture you're
the
putting in,
light
the textures, the light
sources,
sources.
yeah,
Are you north facing, south
and
facing?
super powerful computers to
Yeah,
process all
yeah.
that
So
as
it
well,
takes
right?
time and it costs money. And
Yeah.
maybe again in the future, this thing will become a lot easier with AI
Yeah,
models.
all the rendering, what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw some
people are doing that.
crazy videos online of like some computer game type thing where it like live renders a 3D environment as you walk around
Oh
it,
wow.
and it was like almost photorealistic. And
So see, these things will become more accessible, and I think the virtual reality part of it will
yeah,
definitely become more and more kind of available to the average consumer,
yeah.
and I think it's something that we
I guess if you get
will
everyone
have to look
working
into.
in the same software that
Yeah,
like a sort of platform that allows all of that,
yeah,
like if there were, I mean, maybe there is on SketchUp like a 3D model version, but if you could, or working in BIM or
Well,
BIM or
well, you
something
say
like that.
that. I mean, there are, like, for example, I've thought about another option where if in our office we probably need a bigger office, you create a space where you mark the points, you invite the
Hmm.
client over, and then the client puts the headset on, and then you literally, like in virtual reality, you can create like the boundary where you can't
Yeah,
go
yeah,
past,
yeah,
and then you click a button and you go to the next point, click a button, you go to the
yeah.
next thing, and you can create that environment. So look, why don't you come over and you present it, and then you've got the materials there as well. So
Right.
you're touching the materials, you're walking through your own house at the same time,
Yeah.
and then that will be perfect because that then you're almost fully confirming everything
Yeah.
before you've even knocked a wall out.
That seems the best way forward, I'd imagine. And also just for things like to get an idea of space, because when you see it just
Mm,
on a piece of paper, like 5 meters, then you're like
yeah.
trying to imagine
Some
five
people are
meters.
not.
Whereas
Yeah.
when you put the goggles on,
Yeah.
you literally see 5 meters
Yeah.
away from yourself. So yeah, okay, this is too small,
Yeah.
or that's too
Because
big, or
Because it is I take it for granted. I think one thing I've maybe it's come natural to me is that I can understand, distances and like sizes, and I think I'm pretty good at that. But a lot of clients don't understand, okay, how big is a 55-inch TV versus a
yeah,
70-inch TV or something like that. And I think
and
having that as a VR set,
yeah,
that would be
makes it
really helpful.
easier. Yeah,
But it all goes down to time. Like you need the time. Like we need to say to the client, give us 3 months, after doing all the design concept meetings and understanding the taste and confirming the floor plan and finishes, and now going to put all and the sofas and all the loose fittings, and that's even another side of the project. Putting that all in together, you need all that time, and then you need to then create the model and then invite them over. So it's someone who's not time critical, a project that's not time critical, 100%. And I do think projects I think that have a high budget and therefore high risk as well,
mm,
it that would be something I see that could become more and more like
you should do that.
usable.
Yeah, especially when you're doing a commercial project as
Yeah,
well. Then I guess even more so as a sales angle, it kind of filters through.
yeah. Like we've just taken on our second, what do you call it, beauty aesthetics. Like it's like almost like a
Clinic,
clinic.
a
That's the
clinic.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lovely 3-story building in
Mm,
Belgravia. We've literally just starting the project now.
right.
And yet it would be where we've already agreed that we're going to do a couple of renders for a couple of the rooms. But it would be great, especially with all the different equipment and everything. Like how will that space work as if you're a customer, what will it feel like to walk around in
Yeah.
the reception room? Where should the desk be? How high the desk should be? How many people can we fit? 100%. The more you can present to a client,
Yeah.
whether it's 3D renders, whether it's actually immersive space, um, the more the quicker they can make a decision to say
Yeah.
yes or no.
Exactly. The faster they can imagine it and
Yeah,
approve it
and the more
as
accurate the
well.
cost will be at the end as well.
Yeah.
It's just, and the end of the day, it all comes down to, do we have like 3 months to kind of build that package to you, and also do you have that budget, because it does make the cost of
Of the
designing
design go higher rather
higher.
than just doing 2Ds or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And where do you see Aflux going next? Are you thinking of international expansion,
Yeah.
global domination?
Yeah, global domination, exactly. That was always the dream from the beginning. Like
Right.
Aflux London, Aflux New York, Aflux Miami, Aflux Dubai. Everyone's moving to Dubai these days, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like, it seems to be like Dubai seems to be the place to be. Like
Well, I
that
mean, there's a big property construction boom happening,
massive.
right? So
I think even like don't you like you said like Mercedes have built
yeah,
even
I mean, there's a
cars are
lot.
building
Yeah, there's a lot of these branded
Aston Martin
residents happening
buildings.
now. Like I think
Yeah,
there's Porsche, there's
I think there's a Chelsea
there's
building as well.
Nobu going into branded
Wow.
residences as well,
So
hotels, and yeah,
I personally look, as I mentioned before, I love London, and I'm still going to be like the hardcore advocate that London, there's a lot of opportunities still here. A lot of old there's like every home is circa 100 years old plus.
yeah,
So there's a lot of work in London if you can target the right audience, and I think London will always be our bread and butter. But I've never said no to opportunities abroad. Like we've done a design for a house in Jeddah. So it was the first project we did for an overseas client, where they were like, "Can you design the house, do the structure,
Mm.
do the internal, layout and everything. Gave it to them, and now they're currently building it.
Okay.
There are, I think, for us, for what our brand, I think we're quite flexible. And when you look at Dubai, and we were mentioning earlier, Dubai has now come to that point where houses of 30 years, they're 30 years
Yeah.
old, they don't fit the style that
Of
people are
now.
moving to Dubai want,
Yeah.
So
It's
they
time for an upgrade. Yeah.
exactly, even now, like my flat was 20 years old. We upgraded everything. 20 years is a long time
Yeah.
when it comes to like bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
So
The tech,
yeah,
what was state of the art 20 years ago is
exactly,
laughable now.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely opportunity there, and I think nowadays you've got to be like foolish not to look outside of the box and look elsewhere and see, where are the
And I
opportunities.
guess the design part of it can be done anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly. I think there's and now when you like if you go to Dubai now and if you're looking for a house, you're more than likely going to have a guy from London showing you a house in Dubai. Like there's
yeah.
so much. There's not like there's a cultural gap that you need to fill when you go
No.
there. So for us, it's
If
something that
anything,
would
I'd say they've adapted to Western culture, and that's what they're creating, and even importing. Like
yeah,
they imported the Louvre from Paris. They're like, yes, I like that. Let's bring it here, and it's all modern and new and cutting edge, and sort of they've taken what's they've seen the best elsewhere,
yeah,
and they've imported it there, which is a really interesting kind of experiment on a city scale,
yeah.
to see that happening with such crazy funding behind it as well.
And I think you have to look when you have your own business now, and especially now, it's an interesting time because between 2000 and 2025 and 2030, I don't know if anyone can predict what kind of world we're going to be living in. Whether it's all the political stuff going on, AI happening, technology, it's
Yeah.
going to be very
It's
hard
like
to.
an AI arms race right
Yeah.
now
So
happening, yeah?
and also like
Like, who's gonna
global
reach
borders,
yeah.
like I've met I have a couple of friends in India, and my
Just a
father's friends,
couple?
just a couple, unfortunately. My father has more friends, and I have dinner with them, and they are going to Italy to source their furniture for their houses in India. So now design is like before, like it was you source from where you can in your local area, and
Yeah.
now it's like okay, I can go get something from there, bring it
I
to
see something online, and I
exactly,
like it, and people are much more comfortable buying online
yeah. But
now.
Dubai, and not even just Dubai. I think like you as a business owner, you can't just think that okay, we've done well for the last 10 years. It's going to be like this for the next 10 years. You can't. You always have to
Adapt.
adapt. You have
Yeah.
to. Like I think it's what we're going through now. If you just think okay, I can do this and keep it going the way it is, it's going to be a struggle. Like you have to find ways. Okay, how can I find new clients elsewhere? How can I go even if it's not going abroad? Like what else can I do in London, in the UK? Like where are our kind of services required? How can we adapt? Like I said before, now affordability is more about not putting just the cheapest things in a flat, but it's okay, how can we kind of tweak certain buildings or certain homes in a more add value way, so we're still doing our luxury element but we're
Mm.
not doing a full refurbishment. So you have to find ways to adapt, and I think there's multiple avenues. You just can't sit still and expect that the work's going to come to you no matter how good you are. That's
Yeah.
in anything. you
Is
can't
the
you can't
natural evolution of that to go because right now until now most of your clients have been individuals
yeah,
like building their own homes.
yeah,
Is there an evolution into like working with a
yeah.
developer and then doing like a whole residential block that you sell?
Yeah, like for example, now we're doing this clinic, and the clinic, the owners of the clinic came to us because they've realized, or they've noticed that doing their clinic it has more of a link to the residential side than the commercial side. When you go into something like
Mm.
that, you want to feel warm, you want to feel at home, you want to have like the
And
comfy
relaxed.
sofa.
Yeah.
So it's to almost feel like you're going to an extension of your living room, just getting a bit of Botox in at the same time.
Okay.
So creating that level like of kind of welcome to our space.
Yeah.
So bridging that residential to the commercial gap. You see a lot of
Mm.
designs, like go to even restaurants and hotels. You go to the lobby of the hotel, it looks like it could be someone's living room to a certain
Yeah.
degree. So tapping that market is something that I think is very important to look into. The a lot of it, a lot of our clients, again, they're the families they're growing to be larger families. They have larger households to build. So we have different avenues we're looking into. um I'm always a bit more positive that I don't try to listen to the news about like ho- all the millionaires have left London and
Oh,
gone to
oh, yeah.
gone there. um
Oh, there's a huge exodus. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But as I said, but you do have to adapt, whether it's using AI or whether it's looking at where can we where can we find other sources of revenue in other areas. Then that's the way you have to look forward to.
Right. I think that's quite a good point to end it
Yeah,
on. What do you think?
yeah. Thanks a lot. It's my
Yeah.
first podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I
Wow.
know.
Okay. Hopefully the first of many. Well, thanks for
I hope
coming,
so. Cheers. Thanks a
and I
lot.
hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you very
Okay.
much for the time.
Thank you, Amit.
Cheers.
Ciao.